Good morning, students. Welcome in this class. This is class 8th, subject Social Science, and it is the second lecture of Civics chapter 1, that is our Constitution. Yes, in this chapter actually we are discussing about Indian constitutions, and in today's lecture the key features of Indian constitution will be discussed. So the key features of Indian constitution are like these. First one is world's lengthiest constitution. Second, parliamentary form of government. Third, federalism. Fourth, separation of powers. And next one, secularism. But before starting today's discussion, first we will recapitulate our previous topics in brief. Yes, friends, in our previous lecture, in lecture number 1, we have discussed that the Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. It lays down the framework defining fundamental principles, establishes the structures and duties of citizens. Means, Constitutions is a fundamental legal document which contains rules and regulation according to that the government of any country functions. So this is the definition or meaning of constitution. Yes, friends, as we know that Indian constitutions is in written form. The constitution is a written document containing certain sets of rules which serve several purposes, like it tells us the fundamental nature of our society, and it also defines the nature of a country's political systems. In countries that have adopted a democratic form of government, like India, in India we have democratic form of government. So the countries in which there is democratic form of government, the constitution lays out certain important guidelines that govern decision making within these societies. Yes, friends, as we know, Indian constitution begins with a preface or a short introduction called the preamble. Yes, it provides a key to the understanding and interpretations of the constitution. It also lists the sources of authority, the system of government, the objectives to be achieved by the political system, and the ways of adoption and enactment of our constitution. It highlights the goals and aspirations of the Indians. So therefore, it has been described as soul of the Indian constitution. Yes, friends, as we know that Indian constitution was adopted on 26 November 1949, but it came into force on 26 January 1950. So why it was so? Actually, as our constitution came into force on 26 January 1950. Actually, 26 January 1930, that this day was considered as an important day or date in Indian history. On this day, on 26 January 1930, the Indian National Congress adopted the Purna Swaraj, complete independence, as its goal. That's why this day was considered as an important day or date in Indian history. So to honor this day or date of Indian history, our constitution came into force on 26 January 1950, whether it was adopted on 26 November 1949. So 26 January is celebrated as Republic Day every year in India. Now we will have a discussions on the following topics, like key features of Indian constitution. Yes, friends, the first feature of Indian constitution is world's lengthiest, largest constitution. Yes, the Indian constitution is the lengthiest written constitution of the world. Actually, when the constitution was formed, at the time of commencement, our constitution had 395 articles which were in 22 parts and with 8 schedules. But now, Miss today's at present, the Constitution of India has 448 articles which are in 25 parts and with 12 schedules. So in this way, India's constitution is the world's largest constitution. Understood? Yes. Now next feature, that is federalism. Yes, students, first you must know the meaning of federalism. Yes, if I say in simple word, the federalism means more than one level of government. Yes, our constitution has provided for a federal form of government. It means more than one level of government. Yeah, actually, students, when our constitution was framed, so at that time, two levels of government were included in Indian constitution. These were union government and state government. Okay, and so means at that time, state government and the union government, these were the two main levels of Indian government. But third tier or third level, that is Panchayati Raj. Yes, it was included in Indian Constitution according to 73 Amendment Act 1992. And why it was done? Actually, as we know that India is a large country with a vast number of communities living together in it. So, a system was needed to be devised that did not involve only persons sitting in the capital city of New Delhi and making decisions for everyone. So, instead, it was important to have another level of government in states. So, so that decisions could be made for that particular areas. So, while each state in India enjoys that autonomy in exercising powers on certain issues, subjects on national concern require that all of these states follow the laws of the central government. Means under federalism, the states are agents of the federal government and they draw their authority from the constitutions. Means in Indian government that there are three levels of government. And these three levels means they work at means in a particular field or particular area on particular subjects. Like union government works on the subjects which are concerned to the people of whole nation, like finance and defense. And the state governments works means on the particular subjects like agriculture, health and education in a particular state only. And the Panchayati Raj, yes, that is the third tier of the Indian government, means work at village level. This is their means Panchayati Raj system works for the welfare of the people living in villages. So in this way that we can see in India there is federalism form of government, means in India there is more than one level of government. Understood the meaning of federalism? Yes. Now next feature, that is parliamentary form of government. Yes students, it means that in India parliament is supreme in center and the constitutions of India guarantees universal adult franchise. Means the people, those who are the members of parliament, they are directly elected by the common people. Yes students, universal adult franchise means in India or all the citizens of India, those whose age is 18 or more than have the right to give vote without any discriminations. So it means that is the universal adult franchise. So, means universal adult franchise means that the people of India have a direct role in electing their representatives, and every citizen of the country, irrespective of his or her social background, can also contest in election. Means they have the right to give vote also, and they can contest the elections also. And so in this way, that means in India, parliamentary form of government is existed. Understood students? Yes. Now, separation of powers. Yes. Our constitution states that there are three organs of the Indian government. Yes, friends, as I told you that there are three levels of government: union, state, and panchayati raj. And these are the level, and there are three organs of the government. These are legislature, executive, and judiciary. Yes, legislature, that is the law making body, means law, it is the law making body, means the new laws and policies are introduced in the parliament. Understood? And executive means implements the law, means this organ of the government implements those laws which are made by the parliament, and executive is the part of legislature. Third one is, that is judiciary. Yes, judiciary provides justice. So now give a look on this flow chart. Here I have shown you the three organs of the union government, that is legislature, executive, and judiciary. Yes, just I told you that legislature, law making body, and it includes parliament, Rajya Sabha, and Lok Sabha. Executive is the organ which implements the law made by legislature, and it includes president, vice president, and councils of ministers. Third one is judiciary. It provides justice, and solve the disputes also of the citizens, and it includes Supreme Court, Chief Justice of India, and the other judges of Supreme Court. So in this way, there are the three organs of the Indian government, and in which the power and the functions of the government are distributed. Means power and that functions of the government are separated, and means they are distributed in, or means among, three organs of the government, and it is done to avoid the misuse of power by any particular organ of the government. And all these organs, they keep a check on each other functions also. Understood? Yes, students. Our next feature is secularism. Yes, it is an important feature of our constitution. Means a secular state is one in which the state does not officially promote of any one religion as the state religion. Means the term secularism refers to the separation between the power of religion and the power of the state. So this is important for a country to function democratically. Means India is a democratic country. So to work as a democratic country, that it is necessary to adopt the secularism. Yes, and so there are the two main reasons why these separations between religion and state is important. The first is to prevent the domination of one religion over another, and the second is to protect the freedom of individuals to come out of their religion, embrace another religion, or have the freedom to interpret religious teaching differently. Understood? Means Indian secularism doesn't protect individuals' religious freedom by maintaining a separation from religions. And the Indian state is not ruled by a religious group. It also does not support any one religion. Means in India, all the people are free to follow any religion according to their choice. And India became a secular state in 1976. Understood, students? Yes. Next feature, fundamental rights. Yes, students. Fundamental rights means these are some basic rights of the citizens of India. Okay, and means these rights protect against the absolute exercise of power by the state, and that's why the constitution guarantees the rights of individuals against the state as well as against other individuals. Means for the protections of the basic rights of Indian citizens, our constitution has provided some fundamental rights to every citizen of India. And these basic rights are like this: right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies. And about these all fundamental rights, we will have a detailed discussion in our next lecture. Understood, students? Yes. Now, in this way, our today's lecture is completed. In tomorrow's lecture, we will discuss about the fundamental right and that fundamental duties of Indian citizens. Now, note down your homework. You have to write the answers of these following questions in your fair notebook. Yes, the first question, define the preamble of Indian Constitution. Second is, what were the challenges before the members of Constituent Assembly? Yes, about this topic we had a discussion in our previous lecture, means yesterday lecture. Now list all the fundamental rights mentioned in the Constitution. Yes, students, in this question you have to just mention the name of the fundamental right. No need to define it. What do you mean by federal form of government and why it is important? So this is your homework, and now we will have a discussion on the homework solution of lecture 1 of this chapter. So yesterday you were given some questions to solve, in which first is there, why does a democratic country need a constitution? Yes. In a democratic country, the people from every society, irrespective of their social, religious, economic and cultural background, have a direct role in electing their representatives who form the government. And so in a democratic government, these representatives are directly elected, and there are the more chances to misuse the power by this representative. So to prevent this misuse against these representatives, a democratic country need a constitution, means need some laws to prevent this type of dominations or misuse of power by the representative. It plays an important role in many aspects life. It lays out the important guidelines that govern decisions making within the various societies of the country. Second, it lays down the ideals that form the basis of the kind of country that its citizens wants to live in, aspire to live in. It also provides fundamental rights to its citizens and protects their freedom. Understood? So yes, now next question. Who is known as father of Indian Constitution? Yes, students, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Ms. Bhim Rao Ambedkar is known as father of Indian Constitution as he played an important role in drafting Indian Constitution. Who was the president of the Constituent Assembly? Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Yes, what is constitution? What purposes does it serve? Yes, a constitution is a written document containing certain set of rules which serve several purposes. Means constitution is a fundamental legal document which consists a set of rules and regulation according to that the government of a country functions. It tells us the fundamental natures of our society. The second important purpose of a constitution to define the nature of a country's political system. It outlines the limits on the power of the government and tells us about the fundamental or the rights of the citizens. So in this way, our today's lecture is completed. Tomorrow we will meet again with the next lecture of this chapter. Thank you.